Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Reclaim MLK 2022. I can hardly believe it, but we are so thankful that even though we have to get together virtually once again, like we did last year, we have partner organizations, good friends, local activists, and advocates who are ready to guide us through speeches, calls to action, music, and motivation to commit to the legacy of civil rights leaders for more than just one day, because this is about more than MLK. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was anti-capitalist. He was anti-racist, and his journey is what led him to the legacy that we now celebrate. Bumps along the way, entanglements, mistakes, outright sadness, and many days of not being quite sure how his organizing would work. But today we appreciate and we celebrate the results of that journey. We celebrate those who are being remembered more and more as they should be. Bart Rustin, Ella Baker, people who were important, who made impact, whose names will not go silent, not from us and our friends, because they are the ones that lifted up political power, reproductive rights, Black maternal health, abolition, and anti-violence. They were the ones who, through queer Black feminism, have shown us that it is possible to achieve a shared goal of total liberation through multiple strategies. So we reclaim MLK from the whitewashed and watered down versions you may hear about today, because we know that radical Black power is from the people, for the people, and truly all power is with the more and more and more people who realize, as Mother Ella taught us, their own power. The more we realize our power individually, the more we will see that all power was with the people in the first place. That is what the legacy of Dr. King is all about. Will you celebrate with us? Thank you so much for being here on this afternoon, and I hope you enjoy the program.
The Three Evils of Society, August 1967. We are here because we believe, we hope, we pray that something new might emerge in the political life of this nation, which will produce a new man, new structures and new institutions, and a new life for mankind. I am convinced that this new life will not emerge until our nation undergoes a radical revolution of values, when machines and computers, profit motives, and property rights are considered more important than people. The giant triplets of racism, economic exploitation, and militarism are incapable of being conquered. A civilization can flounder as readily in the face of moral bankruptcy as it can though financial bankruptcy. A true revolution of values will soon cause us to question the fairness and the justice of many of our past and present policies.
I have a dream, August 1963. As we walk, we must pledge that we shall always march ahead. We cannot turn back. There are those who are asking the devotees of civil rights, when will we be satisfied? We can never be satisfied as long as the Negro of the victim of unspeakable horrors of police brutality. We can never be satisfied as long as our bodies heavy with fatigue of travel. We cannot gain lodging in motels and highways and hotels of the city. We cannot be satisfied as long as the Negro's basic mobility is from a smaller ghetto to a larger one. We can never be satisfied as long as our children are stripped of their selfhood and robbed for their dignity.
Justice! Peace. Justice. Is justice something that was meant for us to attain? I mean, it seems like an illusion. I mean, it caused all this confusion. Has the truth been spelled out in a name like just us? Has just us always been just them? Have we just been trying to squeeze in a minuscule space that we ain't never belonged in? Is inclusion gonna ever be the solution? I mean, or can we forfeit the thought again that said peace? I mean, they've been tallying up the cost of these thoughts with each bloody body they leave licking in their streets, so we seeking and searching for something that I believe is possible to be seen. Or was Martin Luther accurate? Is the only way that's gonna happen in the King's dream? And it seems that we'll get there one day, but how many 24 hours is that going to take?
Maybe the phrase that was meant to offend us could have been the very thing to send us on our way. Do we have to go back to Africa to capture a perimeter for just us and put an end to this ongoing massacre performed in the land, performed by the hands of the end God we trust? They gave us handouts to hush sections that 8 hour 40 acres in a mule right off our plate, and this ain't consumed or fueled by no hate. Just a little confused. It's how these rulings be so incongruent, leaving us in ruins with no room to even debate. And fair be right, and right be just, and fair just be in reference to blonde hair and pale skin. How we supposed to fit into that? How we supposed to get back something we ain't never had? Like, can the oppressed ever receive respect if they neglected to ever acknowledge our presence or us as a people equal? Can we ever be the same in size, quality, or value in their eyes? I ask you. In their eyes, we must realize the real lies and the harsh truths. See, the pursuit of happiness can only happen when the fantasy of them fancying us becomes aloof. Love, combat boots, knowledge, and power economics is where we should focus our energy. And I'd rather have a few solid comrades than a whole slew of frenemies. And Black Lives Matter do not make us the enemy. I just don't believe that we'll ever see an ending to these racial disparities in prisons primarily composed of people of color. And them people be our fathers, our sons, our brothers. Them people be our daughters, our sisters, our mothers, like 13% of the general population. And 35% of the stats in mass incarceration. Make it make sense. And when they elected that Black president, that's supposed to make us feel relevant. And I appreciate the gesture, but that ain't it. See, justice to me be like bonds and stocks, sector and blocks, better education for our children, rehabilitation of our kings instead of prison. And it's going to take just us to do that. It's going to take just us to step up and step into the hearts of our people. We must change thought processes for them to recognize that they equal. It's going to take just us to love us, just us to trust us, just us to heal us, and just us to build us. So no just us, no peace.
She knows all things. Gotta find a way to fly. Realize the worth within these eyes. I'm not afraid to be free. Go where I wanna be. I'm not afraid to fly. Born with the right to know what I feel. Gotta be afraid to fly. Whether the world is wrong or right, I see that. I just wanna be what I wanna be. I'm free, yeah. I just wanna be who I'm supposed to be. Not afraid to be who I really am, the only true me. I catch my face in the mirror, clearer days ahead of me, so I see no tears on my face, kissed by the sun, the warmest of days. I finally go where I'm meant to be, anxious to anxious, but the new me. Finally go where I'm meant to be, anxious to anxious, but the new me. Finally go where I'm meant to be, anxious to anxious, but the new me. Finally go where I'm meant to be, anxious to anxious, but the new me.
There are two types of laws. One is a just law and one is an unjust law. I think we all have a moral obligation to obey just laws. On the other hand, I think we have moral obligations to disobey unjust laws because non-cooperation with evil is as much as a moral obligation as is cooperation with good. An individual who breaks a law that conscience tells him is unjust and who willingly accepts the penalty of imprisonment in order to arouse the conscience of the community over its injustice is in reality expressing the highest respect for the law.
The only road to freedom. There is no easy way to create a world where men and women can live together, where each has his own job and house, and where all children receive as much education as their minds can absorb. But if such a world is created in our lifetime, it would be done in the United States by Negroes and white people of goodwill. It would be accomplished by persons who have the courage to put an end to suffering by willingly suffering themselves rather than inflict suffering upon others. It would be done by rejecting the racism, materialism, and violence that has characterized Western civilization, especially by working toward a world of brotherhood, cooperation, and peace.
the people dressed in white. God's gonna trouble the water. Must be the children of the Israelites. God's gonna trouble the water. See those people dressed in black. God's gonna trouble the water. They come a long way and they ain't turning back.
What is needed is a realization that power without love is reckless and abusive, and love without power is sentimental and anemic. Power is at its best love, implementing that demands of justice, and justice at its best is love, correcting everything that stands against love.
We need leaders not in love with money, but in love with justice, not in love with publicity, but in love with humanity. Leaders who can subject their particular egos to the pressing urgency of the great cause of freedom. God gave us leaders. A time like this demands great leaders. Leaders whom the fog of life cannot chill, men whom the lust of office cannot buy. Leaders who have honor, leaders who will not lie, leaders who will stand before a pagan god and damn his treacherous flattery.
What's good, y'all? My name is J. Marius Holy, and these are the Freedom Arts Scholars, and we're going to sing and play for you. Welcome. Get ready.
My name is Jay Shepard. My pronouns are they, them, theirs. I am the abolition organizer at Action St. Louis, and I have the privilege of working on a campaign called Defund, Re-Envision, Transform, which is a grassroots campaign anchored by Action St. Louis, Art City Defenders, Cab Car, Forward Through Ferguson, and Freedom Community Center that seeks to defund the St. Louis Metropolitan Police Department, re-envision public safety by civilianizing units of the criminal legal system and creating entirely new systems that actually keep our community safe, and the complete transformation of St. Louis. We really believe that we must divest from systems that harm, kill, surveil, and incarcerate Black and brown communities and invest in building entirely new community infrastructures that produce genuine safety and sustainability for our communities. Defund, as it's called, reallocating funds and responsibilities from St. Louis Metropolitan Police Department, which kills more people per capita than any other police department, and investing into building community-based systems of safety, prevention, and de-escalation. If you'd like to get involved with this campaign, we'd love to have you. Please, please, please text DEFUND, D-E-F-U-N-D, to 314-789-8594. Again, DEFUND, 314-789-8594. We need everybody to build an entirely new world where our people are loved and cared for and centered.
A nation that continues year after year to spend more money on military defense than on programs of social uplift is approaching spiritual death. America, the richest and most powerful nation in the world, can well lead the way in this revolution of values. There is nothing except a tragic death wish to prevent us from reordering our priorities so that the pursuit of peace will take precedence over the pursuit of war.
Stuff ain't right. So many people, they killing and they keep selling things that we don't do. Popping them jiggers, just trying to get it, they just trying to get through. Working 9 to 5 and you can get a ride up out the school. Now stop all that other stuff ain't right. They just pray for two. Look, slow down just on the beat. I told them just know how we coming, just like it's MLK. Now just all these people, they trying to get up in our face. I'm tired of the racism, I'm glad that it's gone just for that.
Hold on, say I had to get up on the mic. And I remember all them nights where it was cold nights. And I remember when my people was fighting for rights. So I know how it go, you trying to make it for the right. Say it. You gotta make a way. Trying to get up to the top. Shout out MLK. Say we had to make a change today, so we can get up to the top at 8.
It's like just when we try to make it out, people mess up and try to put you down. Try to change up the routes and try to take you around. Tell you some foolish knowledge but never try to help you out. They be like, why you just can't even get a job? People look at just your skin color and tell you you're not allowed. Like why? Like why?
We gon' make them hear us. We gon' make them see us.
Coretta Scott King. We have a lot more work to do in our common struggle against bigotry and discrimination. I say common struggle because I believe very strongly that all forms of bigotry and discrimination are equally wrong and should be opposed by right-thinking Americans everywhere. Freedom from discrimination based on sexual orientation is surely a fundamental
human right in any great democracy as much as freedom from racial, religious, gender, or ethnic discrimination.
Good evening, my name is Mike Milton, and I'm the Executive Director of an organization in St. Louis called Freedom Community Center. And what we do is that we build a movement of survivors, those who are directly impacted by violence, community violence, state violence, and we partner with them as they fight for what they deserve, which for us means safety, freedom, and agency. Today I've been slotted to help us remember and reclaim MLK as we look towards an abolitionist future. At FCC, we fight with a divine revolutionary love, a love that's creative and powerful enough to hold the people whom the world tends to demonize, punish, and kill. We live in a world and a country where capitalism disciples us to believe that justice is extraction, isolation, and punishment. It's labeled as accountability but functions as a tool to protect white dominance. It's weaponized in the form of tall buildings that contain thousands of cages. They call it CJC, designed to lock people away and the people that we love. It's weaponized in the form of people dressed in uniforms with the power to take our lives. It's weaponized in the form of black women progressive prosecutors from North St. Louis engineering mass incarceration. Today, I want to offer us an opportunity to decolonize our definitions of violence. White supremacists' definition of violence doesn't take responsibility for how they've created violence and created the violent conditions in which our communities live in. What's more violence than strapping black men to tables and injecting poison into their bodies until they take their last breath? What's more violence than stealing black men and women away from their communities, away from their families, caging them like dogs by the thousands? What's more violent than closing our schools and allocating 60% of the city's budget towards one of the deadliest police forces in the country? The prison industrial complex is political violence. So today we fight for abolition in the name of the beloved community. So when we speak about decolonizing our definitions of violence, I'm asking us to consider how the state is killing us in the name of public safety. St. Louis Police Department kills more people per capita than any other police department in the world, in the nation. They arrest more black people than white people. They sentence us for longer sentences. They throw us in the jail and leave us there. Incarceration is inherently violent. It's a death-making machine, Marion Carver calls it. And the reason why she calls it that is because the same components of jail, prisons, and police are the same key components of what causes violence to grow. The criminal punishment system addresses violence with more violence, generating. So today I'm calling us to think and hold the radical thought of Dr. King as he says things like, physical force can repress and restrain and coerce and destroy, but it cannot create or organize anything permanent. Only love can do that. Reclaiming MLK means renewing our call and commitment to radical, imaginative, creative ways to love, rooted in grace and forgiveness and nonviolence resistance. It means that we demand people to be free now, today. Revolutionary love means changing our gaze from the person who has done evil to the force of evil that created the conditions. And I want to leave us with a couple calls to action as I close. As we seek to carry the legacy of Dr. King, I want us to consider and challenge ourselves to confront our internalized racism, our internalized sexism, classism, homophobia, so that we may break down the fear and shame and isolation that exists within our communities. This will lead us to oneness. The second demand or the call to action that I will give to us, I will offer us today, is to pray with your feet. There's a growing movement in our city that's practicing what we preach, choosing to call in instead of cast out, choosing mutual aid instead of toxic charity, a movement to abolish the police, a movement to close jails and reinvest that money into our city. There's campaigns all over the place, fighting and screaming with everything that we got, every muscle that we have, so that we can achieve what we deserve. I wanna call you to join these movements. Show your love by joining the effort to build the beloved community together. And the last thing that I offer you as a call to action, I want you to read, study, and pray, and struggle with abolition. Practice this revolutionary love every day to yourself, to the people that you touch, and even the people that are really hard to love. It requires you to be creative. It requires you to be holy. And so I want to offer that we can practice abolition now until we achieve our freedom. Thank you.
When in the midst of sorrow, you can't see up when you're looking down. A brighter day tomorrow will bring. Oh, you hear the voice of reason telling you this can never be done. No matter how hard reality seems, just hold on to your dreams. Yeah, but don't give in. Although it seems you'll never win, you will always pass the test as long as you keep your head to the sky. You can win as long as you keep your head to the sky. You can win as long as you keep your head to the sky. Be optimistic when things around you crumble. No, you don't have to stumble and fall. Keep pushing on and don't you look back. I know the storms and strife cloud up your outlook on life. Just think ahead and you'll be inspired to reach higher and higher. If you learn to never say never, you may be down, but you're not out. And that's what optimistic is all about. Although it seems you never win, you will always pass the test as long as you keep your head to the sky. You can win as long as you keep your head to the sky. You can win as long as you keep your head to the sky. You can win as long as you keep your head to the sky. Be optimistic. Oh, when things around you crumble, you don't have to stumble and fall. Keep pushing on and don't you look back. I know your storms and strife cloud up your outlook on life. Just think ahead and you'll be inspired to reach higher and higher. To your best. If you learn to never say never, you're down when you're not out. And that's what optimistic is all about. Although it seems you never win, you will always pass the test as long as you keep your head to the sky. Tell your neighbor you can win as long as you keep Keep singing, you can win. As long as you keep your head high. Not my will, but thy will. You can win, child. You keep your head to the sky. I lift mine eyes to the hill. As long as you keep your head to the sky, you can win, you can win. As long as you keep your head to the sky. Hallelujah, give God some praise. We lift up our eyes beyond the hills, for where does my help come from? And those of us who have made it to this day, we remember the ones who have not come along with us.
I must remind you that starving a child is violence. Suppressing a culture is violence. Neglecting school children is violence.
The function of education, therefore, is to teach one to think intensively and to think critically. But education which stops with efficiency may prove the greatest menace to society. The most dangerous criminal may be the man gifted with reason, but with no morals. We must remember that intelligence is not enough. Intelligence plus character, that is the goal of true education. The complete education gives one not only power of concentration, but worthy objectives upon which to concentrate. The broad education will therefore transmit to one not only the accumulated knowledge of the race, but also the accumulated experience of social living.
This year for Reclaim MLK, I want to challenge you to commit to and invest in reproductive justice and Black maternal health. It's important to understand how a lack of reproductive justice contributes to maternal health disparities. Because of chronic stress that's due to racism and discrimination in our communities and within the medical system, medical bias and divestment from our communities, and the lack of care, respect, and regard for Black women and gender expansive people makes reproductive justice all the more necessary. And by committing to reproductive justice, we can improve maternal health outcomes across our region and this nation, but it will take absolutely every single last one of us. Reproductive justice requires investing in Black futures. To commit to reproductive justice means understanding it as something that extends far beyond simply having rights. Reproductive justice is about access, agency, safety, equity, and liberation of oppressive systems to realize the rights that we're struggling for. The reproductive rights framework is largely centered on achieving individualistic reproductive freedoms through the legal system, and it has historically focused on pro-choice and pro-life debate, sex education, and family planning. But if you are on this journey to commit to reproductive justice, you have to ask yourself, how effective are legal rights when there are other barriers to achieving reproductive freedom? Also, how effective are legal rights when there's a legal system that does not believe that some people, Black people and people of color, are even fully deserving and human enough to have the access to the same rights as everyone else? Investing in reproductive justice means securing what we public health people call social determinants of health for Black people in our communities. And what I mean by social determinants of health is healthcare, Not just, oh, there's a hospital right there, you can go there to get care. But what does it mean to have access to quality and affordable health care? What does it mean to have access to quality education and safe and affordable housing and economic stability? Not you can get a job, but is that job paying a livable wage? And what about the gender pay gap? These are all questions we have to ask ourselves in our commitment to reproductive justice, and we have to understand that a lack of investment from these things is a larger symptom of systemic and structural racism. You can speak out against, give money, skills, time, support, and other resources to people and organizations who are doing the work. When it comes to abortions in the United States, there are politicians and everyday people who support these politicians to encroach on women and gender expansive people's access to abortion. And that essentially penalizes low-income women, Black women, and other women of color, and prevents us from having access to safe abortion care. With the enormous amount and expansion of state-level policies, even right here in Missouri, that restricts abortion access for women, you cannot be on the side of reproductive justice and not activate to do something about it. Donate your time, your money, and think of what other forms of support you can give to organizations that are working tirelessly to improve the conditions of Black people and Black communities, and how that work is in direct alignment with reproductive justice. Donate and support to organizations who are working tirelessly to improve the condition of Black people and our communities, and that are in direct alignment with reproductive justice. Action St. Louis has the People Plan, which is a comprehensive policy agenda that's designed to not only build power and redistribute resources, but also focuses on some of those social determinants that I had just named before: education, health, housing, and even policing, things that are in desperate need of transformation. And there are other organizations that are supporting this work and doing similar work that is in alignment with reproductive justice, like Arch City Defenders and Advocates of Planned Parenthood of the St. Louis region. You can also consider donating your money, your time, and your skills to birth workers who are doing work to ensure that Black women and birthing people have access to safe births and that they're getting the care that they need. The Birthing You organization that has founded the Ruth Wilson Birth Fund, a fund that allows the doulas at this organization to provide low-cost birth, bereavement, and postpartum doula services across the St. Louis region. And there's also the St. Louis Doula of Color Collective and the Doula Being Doula Services that provides the same care across the Metro East. Last but not least, think about the candidates that you support and the elected officials that you vote for. Are they in alignment with reproductive justice? And do they have a plan to move an agenda that will ultimately contribute to reproductive justice? All things to consider. And I wish you well on your journey to committing to and investing in reproductive justice. A world where everyone can thrive is possible, but we all have to be a part of it.
My name is Tashawn. People also call me Crash. I was born in St. Louis and grew up in the Hamilton Heights neighborhood. It was August when I was born, and I guess I was ready to be here because I wasn't waiting for anyone. I was born in the car. I've been busy driving my own road ever since, going my own way. I used to get in trouble just for being myself, and eventually was diagnosed with ADHD and bipolar depression. In school, I was what you might label a bad boy. I was suspended a lot. People thought I was a troublemaker, and that reputation followed me. I have a lot of anger issues, and I feel really badly about the injustices of people mistreating each other. It sucks to my heart and mind, and it's part of what I write about, whether I'm creating poetry or a rap song. I also feel it deep in my body, and I like having outlets to express the things that consume me the most. That's why I love music, especially playing the drums, and that's why I love Freedom Arts and Education Center. They have always welcomed every part of me. They've never been afraid of me or judged me. They've never shut me out or suspended me from relationships. They've always wanted me around. Freedom Arts is my family. When I sit at the drum set with the sticks in my hand, I feel in control of not only my anger and fears, but I'm also in control of my future. I want every kid to feel the same way, and I want it to start with me. Today I'm asking that you donate to Freedom Arts right now. You're not only supporting my future, but the futures of many others that come after me. Thank you.
Hey, freedom marches to the block. I don't ever get no hope. I'm gonna race to the top. I ain't never gonna stop. I got too much heat. I'm gonna race to the top. With all this beginning, I'm gonna race to the top. We ain't never gonna stop. We gonna keep making that money. We ain't never gonna stop. We gonna keep raising to the freaking top. We ain't never gonna stop. We gonna race to the top. We ain't never gonna lose. We ain't never gonna stop. Even go to the other downs and lows. We ain't never gonna stop right now. We gonna keep going till we race to the top right now. We ain't never gonna stop. We ain't never gonna stop. We gonna race to the top. I ain't never gonna stop. We ain't never gonna stop. We gonna perform all day. We don't care any day. We just gonna do our thing. Hey, you just been cause you just a hater. Okay, so what? See you later, alligator. I can't play with the top of the raider. I'm not trying to do this with the top of the raider.
Yeah.
That's really all I have for now.
The dream I dream, one like Dr. King's, where one day our race is treated as humanity, where we march and fight hand in hand. One day take the corrupt territory they claim is their land. The dream I dream.
Thank you so much for joining us today. I hope you enjoyed the program. Our artists, our advocates, activists who shared calls to action with us. We want to encourage you to use the information that's coming up on your screen following this to donate, to get involved, respond to the calls to action from the activists, and learn more about the organizations that were represented today. Save the date if you're around in St. Louis of February 27th. We're getting together for our Black Futures Fest, and we don't want you to miss out this celebration of Black life and commitment to protecting Black futures. Reclaim MLK is a wonderful way to start out the year because now we're grounded. You see, we know that all power is to the people and for the people for the liberation of all people. Black liberation history is pairing up, holding hands with, and ready to run with the Black abolitionist future. So will you run with us? Will you join us? Will you come and commit to working with and living like freedom is not only on the way, power is not just on the way, it's already here. Use the information that's on your screen. Enjoy this closing song from our dear friend and board member, Terrence Hawkins, and we hope that you will tune in and hang out with Faith for Justice this year. Show up, come alongside, and if you will, think about supporting our organizations as part of your responding with your people power.
always had.